so much for being here this evening. You're all very welcome here. Here at the Carrick Centre. Tonight we're going to have a discussion about sleep. It's unfortunately one of those situations where in our office we see so many people coming in who are struggling with their sleep patterns. We want to give you some researched data that you can use, and more importantly some tips and some tools that you can implement immediately that can help to improve your sleep, not just your quality but also the quantity of the sleep that you're getting for yourself. So we have Drs. Noah and Jess are going to look after you tonight, discussing the sleep cycle, some evidence-based strategies that you can implement straight away. And at the end of the day, sleep is so vital for us, okay? It makes such a huge difference to things like our physical recovery, our mental clarity, and obviously our overall health and well-being. It's so important that for us to get to have really good health, our sleep needs to be really good. And unfortunately, when we find that our sleep patterns aren't the way that they should be and aren't as good as they maybe should be, our long-term health and well-being is going to become affected as well. We also have Nyla Callahan here, who's a health and wellness expert, who's going to be discussing sleep more from a nutritional perspective and from for essential oils as well. So I want you all to hopefully gain a deeper understanding of what sleep is all about and what you guys can do to help improve that this evening, and I hope you enjoy yourselves. So I'm going to leave you in everybody's capable hands. All right? Enjoy your evening. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Now, before I get into everything, my name's Jess. I'm from New Zealand. Ben and Noah are from Australia. So just so you don't spend the first 5 minutes trying to figure out where our accents are from. And sometimes I get excited and talk fast. So if there is something that you don't understand, please put your hand up and let me know. So to begin, we are going to talk about the sleep cycle, which we have on our screen here. So it's split up into two parts. The first part is your non-REM sleep or non-rapid eye movement sleep. And so that's split into three parts. So these three parts here. The first part, this is just the transition from being awake to being asleep. So our muscles start to relax and our brain slows down. We then have light sleep, which is the longest part of this cycle. And this is when our heart rate and our breathing rate starts to slow down and our body temperature drops. Now, what's the most important part is our deep sleep part of the non-REM cycle, because this is our physical restoration part. So during this part, it's really important for tissue repair, for our brain to clear away any waste. It's also very important for hormone regulation and for immune strengthening. When we go into the second part of the cycle, rapid eye movement sleep, it's called that because your eyes actually move side to side very quickly under your eyelids. And this is where your brain is very active. And during this part, that's where we get lots of dreams. But this is the part that is our brain restoration. So this is very important for memory consolidation, for emotional resilience, and for learning. And this cycle happens in about 90 minutes. And we have 4 to 6 of these cycles throughout the night. And at the beginning of the night, we have a longer period of non-REM sleep and a short period of REM sleep. And as the night goes on, this part reduces and we get more of this part. So it's really important that we get that consistent 7 to 9 hours worth of sleep, because if you miss, say you have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the airport to catch a flight, you've missed most of this part, which is your brain restoration, which is very, very important. So we need all of the cycles to happen about 4 to 6 times throughout the night.
So, how much sleep do we need? I think most of us in the room here today are going to be a little bit closer to that right-hand side. So that 7 to 9 hours is really what we need when we grow into adults, as enough sleep for our rest and our recovery. The most important part about that sort of 7 to 9 hours is working out how much within that range you need individually. And sticking to that amount is also important, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. What I do want to talk about is what happens if we don't sleep. Thanks.
Sorry.
So, some of the issues that we have from sleep deprivation include some chronic daytime fatigue, mood swings, memory issues, weakened immune system, our reaction time slows, some anxiety, some depression, and a low sex drive.
That's not so great. And what happens is that lack of sleep actually accumulates over time. So if we have sleep deprivation over and over and over again, especially throughout life, it increases our risk of developing other health conditions or lifestyle related conditions, things like obesity related conditions, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, stroke, immune system dysfunction. Which is why you see people in certain professions, people that do shift work, often have a higher risk for these types of conditions. It's because their sleep patterns are disrupted over a very long period of time. So getting consistent amount of sleep is very, very important for your long-term well-being as well. So we are going to talk about a sleep toolkit, or give you a sleep toolkit. We're not just going to give you lots of facts, but we're going to give you tools that you can use to help improve your sleep and the quality of your sleep. So first up, we have the lovely Niall O'Callaghan, and he is going to talk to us all about nutrition and essential oils. Thank you. I'll give you.
Thank you. Okay, so I hope you can all understand me. I've come all the way from Cooler Meadows in Ballincollig. So thanks to the guys for asking me to be here tonight, and thanks to Ben as well. I started going to Ben back in 2019. I had a neck issue for 20 years. I could never get it solved, and finally he was the one who got it sorted, and it's been fine ever since. So thanks to Ben and the team for always keeping me in good shape. But over time, as we know, Ben, he loves to have the conversations. We found we had a lot of common interests, and they would have been in the area of natural solutions for preventative and natural health care to keep us healthy, rather than making us needing medical care. So as part of what we do in our business, we provide nutritional consultations, health and well-being coaching, and I would have worked in the sports area back a number of years ago as well, just to help people, to give them these toolkits that's been mentioned, just to help live healthier and lives. And part of this is sleep. We can't do anything without sleep, we know that. So what I want to go through first off is the nutrition side of things. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a nutritional therapist, but the other half of my business is, and I've been to so many of these talks. I'm very happy, and everything that I say is backed up by the research as well. And the first thing for that to say is that if we want to get a good night's sleep, we need to make sure that we're preparing ourselves for sleep. So sleep is for recovery of everything else in the body. It's not for digestion. It's not for processing alcohol. It's for recovering all of the organs in our body. So all of the organs that you see here across the picture, the digestive system is a tiny part of it, but our work there should be done by the time we get to bed. So if we are going to eat, and especially if we have a large meal as our last meal of the day, make sure give yourself a good 2 to 3 hours before sleep, so that your digestion is done before you go to sleep. So at least then you can work on resting the rest of your body. Because if we are going to sleep on like a full stomach, your body is working on the wrong thing. It's working on digestion rather than recovering the rest of the organs in our body. And that can maybe disrupt our sleep a little bit as well. So what we can do then, if we are recovering properly, we'll wake up fresher, because we'll be after getting our organs to recover during the night instead of just digesting. So we get our digesting done, recover the rest of the organs in the body, and trying to wake up fresh. That okay? Am I explaining that okay to everyone? Great. I'm now qualified, I can say. All right. If we do need to eat before we go to sleep, try and eat a little bit less than a large meal, but the type of foods are important as well. And this affects the body chemicals that we have. So we want to eat tryptophan-rich foods. Now, what are these, you might ask? Well, they're up here. You've got eggs and dairy, poultry, turkey, chicken, fish, almonds or walnuts, fruits and veg, whole grains and starch. I would disagree a little bit with the whole grains and starch, because that's a lot of bread. Sometimes that can contain even sugar as well. But even things like meat, like a slice of turkey, a banana, these are good foods to eat as a snack before bedtime, because what they'll do is they're tryptophan-rich foods. They help your body produce serotonin. Serotonin is used to keep our body calm and relaxed, and it also helps us to produce melatonin, which is part of your circadian rhythm and helps the sleep cycle that's been explained already. So if you do need to eat, keep it small and use these foods. So you want to, avoid those foods that's going to impact the night's sleep, such as, maybe alcohol, sugar, all of the processed foods as well. They take a lot of work to break down. So give your body a chance. Let's get the body, get its work done before we get to sleep, and then we can focus on recovering the organs, which is what sleep is all about. Okay, so I work a lot as well with essential oils, and I want to explain this as one of those natural solutions that we help people with. It's one of a many range, but it's very, very applicable to sleep as well. I have to give a little crash course in essential oils because they're so powerful and so potent, but I'm going to do that really quickly just for tonight because we're talking about sleep this evening, and that's the main thing we're focusing on. So we use essential oils in our home daily for all sorts of situations, all sorts of things going on for all three of us in the house, ranging in age from 7 to 49. What are they? You've probably heard of them. They're naturally occurring. They're part of a plant. They're at the very edge of a plant, and they exist on a plant to protect the plant from the environment that it's in. You'd say, how can a plant, it's like the plant's immune system as such. It's there to protect it. So we can cold press the plant, or we can steam it. There's a couple of different ways to extract the oils from the plant. So it's a bit like concentrated herbs and spices. That's basically what it is. So there's an example here of the potency of them. Peppermint oil, I think you mentioned peppermint earlier. It's so strong. It's 1 drop of peppermint is the equivalent of 28 cups of peppermint tea. That's pretty strong. And what I want to do is just to give you the experience of the oils. I brought some here. This is wild orange, nothing to do with sleep. This is just to enjoy the experience. What I'll invite you to do is just put a drop onto your hands, rub your hands together, and inhale. Important to keep it away from the eyes. That's the only thing that the oils can damage is the eyes. I'll give that to you. And I will bring a bottle down the back as well, and they'll meet in the middle. So 1 to 2 drops, that's all you need. So the wild orange is pretty much just for enhancing the mood. It just helps you to feel good. Lots of different oils do lots of different things, but just to enhance the experience this evening. Okay, so why are they so effective? So they're naturally occurring. As I say, they occur in plants. And all sorts of plants as well. It could be a flower, it could be a leaf, it could be the bark of a tree, it could be the inside of a tree, or it could be the root. And then they are lipid based. We are ultimately plants ourselves. We're lipid, we're fat based, we're mostly fat. So the oils work on a cellular level. They break through the cell barrier. They work to get right into the cell and deal with whatever needs to be done in the cell. Take, for example, tea tree. You've probably heard of the element of tea tree. It's great for infections. It's an antibacterial element, antibacterial oil. So it will deal with any like skin infections. Great for use on the skin. Diluted if it needs to be, because it is quite potent, as I say. Okay. Now, how do we use them? Last bit of the crash course here. There's 3 ways to use essential oils. You're experiencing the first one right now. Just the olfactory system, just smelling them. Can you get that smell straight away? It takes 2 seconds for those oils to reach your brain. That's why you can smell them so quickly. Okay, so then they can get into your bloodstream within 2 minutes and can get in all around the rest of your body within 20 minutes or so. That's how quick they can work. So the aromatic use is simply smelling them, and it can be a very effective way of using them. The next way is topical, and that's on the skin. As I mentioned, the likes of tea tree is great. If you've got like a skin infection, if I get a couple of cuts in the garden or something, I'll use it if there's any little bit of redness. Or it could be any sort of infection that you have on the skin. It's great to use topically. And other oils are good to use topically as well for recovery. We might get into that if some questions come up later on. The last way of using them is sometimes controversial, is internally. And then I come to the controversial bit in the next slide. But internally is actually putting them in a drop of water and swallowing it. Now, that's not good to use with all oils, but some of them, it can be beneficial. And I will talk about one in the next slide that it is beneficial to do that. A lot of the time it's controversial because of the quality issue. Because there isn't an industry standard with essential oils. So you need to be sure that if you are using one, and especially if you use it internally, that it is 100% pure. And I mean that all of the bottle is 100% pure. Because what happens is most oils on the market just smell like oils. They're actually adulterated chemicals in a lab that smell like a frankincense or smell like wild orange. But I can guarantee that inside in that bottle of wild orange is 40 oranges, the rind of 40 oranges pressed to get that oil. So it's really important to be aware of that fact, especially if you are using them internally, because they can be very, very useful to use them that way. Okay, so I've mentioned about the purity. It's frankincense actually here. It's a kind of like for people who work with essential oils, and we get lots of questions from people. I have this condition, what do I do? It's if in doubt, frankincense. It's an amazing oil. There's a reason it was mentioned in the Bible back in the day. It's a great gift. It really is. It's good for absolutely everything. Good for sleep as well, because it just helps to calm every system in the body. It's really good. It really helps to regenerate the cells. So it's beneficial for everything. Okay, so I've just mentioned how powerful they are as well, how potent they are. One drop of these oils, that's all you need. More is not better with these. So that's why they last a long time then as well. And then why as well? Well, they're local. I'm not sure if you know, but doTERRA have a plant up in Blarney in the industrial park. I got to go up there for the opening back in 22 that it actually officially opened. They're operating since 2020. There's about 60 people employed locally up there, and they're going through about 60,000 bottles in a day of those small bottles that you just handled, just refining them, bottling them, labeling, that kind of thing, and then they're shipped to Holland. They go all over Europe from there. So it's pretty much, we can, even though it's not an Irish company, we're claiming that there's an Irish part to it as well. Okay, so let's get back to sleep. Serenity. This blend is an amazing oil as a hack to help us to sleep, as well as getting your food right, as well as getting your environment right, as well as knowing things about it. This is just a great hack. It contains all of these oils here, just in case you can't see it down the back. We've got lavender, cedarwood, coriander, ylang ylang, marjoram, Roman chamomile, vetiver, and Hawaiian sandalwood. A lot of different oils in there. Why are these oils in this blend? It's mainly because of these two properties that they would hold one or maybe both of. They're an analgesic, which is for pain reduction, and they're an anti-inflammatory as well, reducing the inflammation in the body. At the moment, we're dealing with, as a society, we're kind of dealing with chronic inflammation in our bodies, from wear and tear, even from poor quality food, from stress, cortisol levels, a lot of inflammation going on. So a lot of these oils are anti-inflammatory. It helps calm the inflammation, and the analgesic part as well. Like, these are things that we can go to the chemist and maybe get medication for, but we can get them naturally as well. Of course, we need them stronger versions at times, but from a night-to-night point of view, maybe we could use them instead of the medical version. These are more natural. It's a bit like putting a plant on your body. So that's the Serenity. How do we use it? Well, if we go back to our 3 ways of using it, the aromatic way, just smelling it, that's just the most simple and lovely way to use this oil blend. So if a lot of people have diffusers at home now, you just stick the blend, throw about an average size bedroom, maybe about 4 drops in your diffuser. Try and get it in there maybe 2 hours before bedtime so that you've a nice aroma going in the room. That's not always possible. Even sometimes just to put it in your hands like you did with the wild orange, and just to give it a smell. What it does, it gets all of these oils into your body through that olfactory system, and through that it'll get all around the rest of your body. Even the likes of marjoram. This one is it's a really good analgesic and anti-inflammatory as well. It calms your mind, it calms your muscles, it helps everything to relax. That's all we wanted to do. And sometimes for one reason or another, our body can find it hard to do that. So it's just a little hack to try and get us to that way. And I can say from experience that it works for all ages. My little girl, she's 7, so it doesn't happen so much now, but a couple of years ago, you'd hear the little pitter patter at night time. She's coming running into mommy and daddy in the middle. Does she stay still? Absolutely not. Kicking and rolling, you all know what I'm talking about. And then if that happens, my wife will just say to me, Niall, Serenity, get the Serenity. So we'll get the Serenity and put 2 drops just literally on her pajamas. And within about 20 minutes, she's just stopped moving around. And then she's calmed down, she's relaxed. Then she's shifted back into her own bed then again. So it just works from that perspective of just smelling it. It's not an oil blend that you take internally. It's not an oil blend that you use on your skin. It's simply just smelling it. Would you like to smell it? I don't want to put you to sleep now. That's the only thing. You say no fear of that. So just smell the bottle with this one. There's no need to put it out onto your hands because you have the wild orange on your hands anyway. So there's a lot more going on with the Serenity because you have, how many are listed there? 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 blends there. There's another 1 or 2 oils in it as well, but they just don't have those properties. So first impressions? Strong. It is strong, absolutely. It is. They're very potent. They last a long time then as well. A lot of people that I've experienced that have got this, they'd maybe put it into a little spray bottle and spray it onto the pillow. It's another way of using it as well. So it's a good hack to get some sleep. I have up here as well this that's one of the diffusers by the way. I'm sure you probably all have one at home. The copaiba is another oil that's a very complementary one to the Serenity. Copaiba is just one oil. It comes from the Amazon rainforest. It comes from the bark of a tree. It's fascinating how it's sourced. And this is like a CBD oil. Have you all heard of a CBD oil? So what that does is that impacts the endocannabinoid system of the body. There are 2 receptors in the body in the endocannabinoid system. CB1, your head, CB2, inside in your internal system. The CB1 is the high that we hear, like the things of medicinal cannabis and this kind of thing. But the CB2 is the non-mental side of it. The copaiba oil only directs itself towards the CB2 receptors. What does that do? It helps to promote healing, it helps recovery, and it helps calming the nervous system as well. So this is one that can be taken internally, and I'm actually not going to pass around the bottle because there's no smell from it. So it's literally just 2 drops in a glass of water. It doesn't matter what time of the day. I would have done it in the morning time quite a lot. I'd have my frankincense and copaiba. So just 2 drops in a glass of water and drink it back. So it's a good way to start the day, because I suppose, a good night's sleep starts the morning of that night as well. So it's a good one to add to your day. So I think that's kind of everything that I wanted to go through. If anybody is interested in getting these, I'm happy to do a kind of a collective of order that can be, delivered to Ben, to the office as well. So I'd be around for the evening, if anybody wants to do that, so that we can save on the delivery as well if we group everybody together. So if anybody is interested in that, come and chat to me afterwards. But I think that's everything from me.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Noel. That was great. And you are absolutely right in saying that a good night's sleep does start at the beginning of the day. And yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions or interested in anything that Noel spoke about, he's going to be hanging around. So absolutely bombard him with stuff. We're going to tone it down to a very, very simple yet effective thing with light. Light is absolutely crucial for setting your circadian rhythm, which is your sleep and wake cycle. And the most important time of the day to get light in your eyes is in the morning. It's the most powerful stimulus of wakefulness. And when your eyes receive light, it signals the brain to suppress the sleepy hormone melatonin, and it signals cortisol to release in your body, which is your alertness. This helps align the body clock, and it prepares your body to essentially go into rest and sleepy mode 12 to 16 hours later. So, the first tip of the night is getting bright light into your eyes within 30 minutes of waking. Now, sunlight is the number one most important, most effective form of bright light to get into your eyes, and I know sometimes in Ireland that can be difficult when it isn't too bright until 8 or 9 in the morning. So if you do wake up prior to the sun being up, overhead lights, they do also work. Turning them on as soon as you wake up is going to help, but again, the most effective is going to be that sunlight. So sunglasses behind a window in your car also isn't as effective. You really want that direct sunlight. 10 minutes a day is absolutely perfect.
Don't stare into the sun though, that's not so good for your eyes. Talking about light, light can also be detrimental to our sleep cycle, especially later in the day. So when we look at technology, so phones, laptops, TVs, this emits blue light, which is effectively like going out and staring at the sun when you're trying to go to sleep. So trying to avoid screens for 2 to 3 hours before bed, if possible, because that blue light suppresses melatonin. So if you're lying in bed scrolling on TikTok before you go to sleep, you're getting this constant bombardment of blue light into your eyes, and then when you put your phone down and you're ready to go to sleep, your brain is very much awake and it can take quite a long time to fall asleep. So screens off and away at least a couple of hours before you go to bed. And with light, darkness is very important at nighttime because it helps our bodies produce melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. So we want to be turning off bright lights like these ones later in the evening, and because the bright lights switch off that melatonin production, if we're busy cooking dinner, the lights are all on and then we just turn everything off and go to sleep, it still takes time for that melatonin production to occur.
So how can we utilize darkness to our advantage? Well, just like Jess said, with the overhead lights, they're not great just before we're about to go to bed. So dimming them or having them off completely is really going to help. At home, I know I like to have in my room a lamp nice and low to the ground. It essentially emulates a sunset, which back in the day is what we used to know that it was about time to go to sleep. So yeah, using candles, warm, low light. So that's your red lamps, orange lamps are going to be fantastic to use just before you go to bed. The next tool we want to use is temperature. So temperature is also really important for your sleep. Knowing when to warm your body up, knowing when to cool your body down is going to help. So with warmth, we want to increase our core temperature when we wake up. And just before we're about to go to sleep, we want to decrease our core temperature and cool ourselves down. So, we've got a few things to go through with temperature. In the morning, at night, having a hot shower before you go to bed, it actually does the opposite of what you think. It cools your core temperature down. So a warm shower before you're getting ready to bed is perfect. On the other hand, a cold shower or an ice bath, if you're a fan, in the mornings is really, really great. It really promotes that wakefulness state, which does again prepare us for sleep that 12 to 16 hours later. Last one we have there is exercise, and Jess is going to go through how we can use that.
Yes. So exercise, like the cold showers, it increases our core body temperature. So it is better to exercise in the mornings, especially if we're doing any type of vigorous exercise like running or HIIT workouts or lifting weights. So exercise, like I said, it increases core body temperature, and within the first 3 hours in the morning is the best time, because it also increases our cortisol, which is our wakefulness or alert hormone. So the first 3 hours of the day, whether that's walking, jogging, skipping, Pilates, whatever type of exercise you prefer, first 3 hours of the day is the best time to do that. And now that we're getting into summer, it's a little bit easier to get up and get outside in the mornings as well. And when it comes to your sleep schedule, Noah mentioned it briefly at the beginning. Going to sleep and waking up at the same time every night is very, very important, and it helps stabilize your circadian rhythm. So aiming to get up and go to sleep within about a 30-minute time frame every single day is really important. So if we go to sleep at the same time, we wake up at the same time, we get up, we go outside, and we have our 10 minutes of sunlight in our eyes, and then we maybe go for a walk, you've done all of those things that we've just talked about, which is very implementable into your daily life.
So here it is. This is your toolkit. We put it all on one slide. So we're going to get you to take out your cameras and take a photo. It's your little cheat code on what to do at what time of the day. So there's 3 critical period tools. We've got your early morning hours. We have throughout the day. And then we have the late evenings before you go to sleep. So in the early mornings hours, just as Jess said, exercising, getting that light in, having that caffeine, cold shower, all help promote that alertness and get you ready for that 12 to 16 hours later to go to sleep. During the day, we want to try and avoid caffeine after 3 p.m., really avoiding it after lunchtime. Even if we can get to sleep, having a cup of coffee before bed, it can impact our quality of sleep. Being mindful of exercising too late of the day is also important because we want to be aware of that temperature. The late evenings during sleep, avoiding those bright artificial lights, avoiding drinking lots of water 1 to 2 hours before bed because we don't want to be waking up in the middle of the night needing to go to the bathroom. That warm shower before bed, the supplements. We've got our essential oils as well that we can throw in there just before bed. Is a great little toolkit that you guys have now to really help with your sleep. So, what I wanted to touch on next is what happens if you've had a bad night's sleep. What do we do? Well, we want to avoid any compensatory behaviors. So, the last thing we want to do if we've had 5 hours of sleep the night before is try and sleep for 12 hours the next night and really throw off everything. I know it sounds like it makes sense, but trying to get back to that consistent 7 to 9 hours, whatever works for you, is really going to be the key to getting back to that sleep schedule. So, another thing, limiting naps to 20 to 30 minutes, midday, early afternoon. We want to avoid napping close to bed, but a quick 20 to 30 minute nap is perfect to kind of rebuild some energy throughout the day. Non-sleep deep rest. So I want to touch on that one. If you want to flick the slide there, Jess.
Yes.
I have a little QR code. It takes you to a video of a man called Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist. There's many different non-sleep deep rests that you can do, but this is just one that I have done in the past. Basically, it's kind of like it's kind of like a mini power nap. So it's kind of like you essentially lie down, you turn off all the lights, and you play the video, and it's essentially a full body scan where it'll take you through concentrating on different areas of the body, and then after 20 minutes, you feel incredibly rested afterwards. I really like it, especially if I've had a shitty night's sleep the night before. I like to use it the day after just to kind of get me through the next day.
So when we are struggling to get to sleep, this is something that we hear all of the time. So these are some tips and tricks that you can use if that is something that you do struggle with. So if you implement the things that we've talked about, it should be a little bit easier for you to fall asleep. But if not, or you just feel really wired going to bed, it's really important that we don't associate our bedroom with wakefulness. So if we are lying in bed and we feel really alert and really awake, leave your bedroom until you feel tired, so that you don't associate that with being awake. Having a bedtime wind down, if you have the same routine every night, like children, we have a bedtime routine, it's bath time, we read them a story, and then it's time to go to bed. We're just big children. So if we do the same thing every night, our brain gets used to that habit and knows that it's time for us to fall asleep. A mental walk is something like counting sheep, but it's a little bit more interesting. A mental walk is something, say, a walking track that you do near your house and you do it often, or you're walking through a shopping centre that you do all the time. It's really familiar, you know where everything is, and you just visualise yourself going for a walk in that particular place. It's not going to throw up any super exciting information because you've done it a million times, but it is nice and familiar that it's easy for you to visualize, and then we get bored and our brain falls asleep. Okay, so those are some 3 tips that you can use if you're struggling to get to sleep. Something that often comes up also is that we wake up about 3 in the morning, and that can often be because our cortisol has spiked, and that can happen if our stress levels are really high, but it can also happen if our blood sugar drops. Our brain, like I said at the beginning, it's really active during that REM part of our sleep cycle, and it needs sugar or nutrition to do all of the things it needs to do. And if our blood sugar is low, our brain is very smart and it produces some cortisol, because that's a really quick fix of sugar for the brain. And cortisol also wakes us up, which is not so helpful when we're trying to sleep. So it is important, so like the snacks that Niall talked about before, so having important to have a carbohydrate with a protein and a fat, or a protein or a fat. So an apple and a piece of cheese, or some Greek yogurt and a banana, something that can help delay that carbohydrate or that sugar production in our body. So it's not just one quick sugar fix, but this can be helpful about kind of an hour before bed, just to help your blood sugar be a little bit more regulated throughout the night. And now this is what I love talking about, so if I talk too fast, I'm very sorry. So as chiropractors, we see lots of people for back pain, neck pain, sciatica, headaches, and we get amazing results with that. And that's actually just a side effect of what chiropractic is all about. So chiropractic is all about the way your brain and your body talks to each other. Your nervous system is very, very important. It's your brain, it sends messages down your spinal cord, out through all of the nerves in your body, to every single organ and system and tissue in your body. And your brain and your body are in constant communication through the system. It's very important, hence why your skull protects your brain and your spine protects your spinal cord. And your spine is designed to move. If it doesn't move properly, it affects the way your brain and your body talk to each other, and then we can get a very giant range of symptoms. One can be that we don't sleep very well. It can affect our mood and our energy. It can also cause pain, which is what most people come to see us for. But we also get amazing results in lots of other things because your nervous system controls everything. And in particular, your autonomic nervous system, which is the part that does all of the things that we don't have to think about, can be split into 2 different parts. So we have parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest part of our nervous system when we're nice and calm and relaxed. And then we have sympathetic, which is when we're really alert, if we're stressed or we have to react or run away from a tiger. And that's our stress response. And ideally, we should be able to switch nice and easily between the 2. So when something stressful happens or we need to respond, we can move into that sympathetic part of our nervous system. But when that threat or that stress is gone, we should be able to move back into our rest and digest part of our nervous system. What happens though is we live in a society now where our stresses are way up here and our body is not always able to adapt to those. And that's when we see things like sleep issues, we feel tired all the time, high blood pressure, all of those types of things. And if our body cannot move back into that parasympathetic part of our nervous system, it means our body can't heal, it can't recover, it can't sleep and rest the way that it should. So from a chiropractic point of view, we're making sure that all of those joints in your spine are moving well so that your brain and your body can talk to each other. And we also know that when we adjust the spine, we change the brain. And the part of the brain that we change is the prefrontal cortex right at the front. And that's your decision making, your ability. When we adjust your spine, we actually put you into that parasympathetic part, which is why most people feel a little bit tired after an adjustment, so that your body can heal and do the things that it was supposed to do. So that is what chiropractic does, and how it helps your sleep.
Absolutely. Well put.
Sorry, I could talk about this for hours.
Beautiful. So, thank you all for coming today. I hope that you got something out of today. Do we all feel like we got at least one thing that we can sort of implement as soon as tonight? Beautiful. Whether it is the light, utilizing darkness, some essential oils. Hope you got something.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So whether it is sleep that's affecting you, whether it might be headaches, lower back pain, sciatic pain, neck pain, it might be worth your while just to get your spine checked, even if it is just once in your life. So what we've got is we've sort of put together a special offer for you guys as a thank you for coming out tonight. So what we've put together is an initial consult. So include a history taking, we'll get some balance testing done, posture analysis, and 3 scans of your spine just to see what's going on. We'll then sit down with a follow-up report, go through all of our results, and we'll tell you then and there if we think we can help you. If we can't, we send you in the right direction. And then that'll also include your first adjustment there as well. So I know a few to most of us we already see at the moment, but if that's one of you that aren't, all of that is usually 150 euros altogether. For you guys tonight as a thank you, it'll just be 50. So if that's something that you are interested in, Chris, give us a wave there. Go and see the lovely Chris. She's been hiding out with you, and she'll get you hooked up as soon as possible. And she'll take that 50, I think we have that tonight as well.
Yeah. Yes.
To get that locked in.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, Niall, Noah and myself will be around for the next wee while, so come and chat to us. Thank you. Well done.
That was better. Oh yeah.
That's one way to wake everyone up, isn't it? Very smart.